Hi, I'm Doc Jenny. Join us in the Green Hornet as we travel the back roads of beautiful North Idaho. Every day is different, challenging, and never boring as we see all the farm animals, big and small. Hey there, ducks. Today we are going to talk about a little bit of ground driving. So for those of you that are moving towards trying some of these more classical techniques for adding it to your groundwork, this is one of the things that I have been experimenting with and really enjoying it. I will be honest that ground driving was not something I had used in my training at all, and so it just wasn't anything that I ever did. I had tried it a couple times and had been completely unsuccessful because I was doing it by myself. And what would happen is that when I'd be trying to ground drive, I would just end up with the horse going around in circles around me. So I'm going to show you how to get your horse set up so that you can start playing with some of this stuff, because I do think it's a great way to introduce a little bit of the maneuvers and the carriage and things like that that we are asking of our horses before you ever get on their back. So we're going to start Ernie with the surcingle. So this is just a real simple surcingle. You can also just use your saddle. And but I find that this is a little less cumbersome. So we're going to set this on Ernie's back just enough so it's not sliding around. All right. This is another great way to introduce this to your horses too, so that they're getting used to a little bit of pressure on their back. You can put a saddle pad under here too, so if you have a horse that hasn't been started under saddle, a really young one, this can be something that you can use to help introduce that concept. You do want to make sure that it's not going to slide over their withers, so if you pull on this side and it's sliding, you are going to want to tighten that just a little bit. All right, so I'm going to use this with Ernie's snaffle bit. I'm going to put it on over the halter. Come here, baby E. He puts it on himself like a good boy. Thank you, Ernie. And then I've got these long lines that I'm going to attach to the rings. I'm going to run these through the side ring so that is about where my leg cues are going to be, my calf muscles on the side of him. I'm going to run it up through the ring, and I'm going to, instead of attaching it to the snaffle, I'm going to attach it to the halter. So this way it makes contact on the halter, but it does also provide light contact on the bit. So this is especially important, and 8 showed me this technique for when you're first introducing this to the horse. You end up putting a little bit more pressure on these drive lines than you normally would maybe when you've got the reins in your hands, just because of the length of the line and the feel of that. So by doing it this way, it allows you to transfer that to the bridle so that the horse is understanding it without putting a lot of pressure directly on the snaffle itself. And Ernie has had a lot of time with ropes as well, so that he understands the ropes dragging behind him. Definitely something that you want to make sure you've done before you move on to this. And then starting it with a partner, and we're going to pretend like Ernie's never done this before, and we'll use Dan to help start. It does help to prevent that the horse spinning around on you. It helps to have a partner that's going to walk next to the horse to get you started. So what I'm going to do is gather up my lines behind the horse. I want to be able to be far enough back from him, closer, and I take up just enough so that I've got good contact with the reins, but that I'm not pulling. And then Dan's going to walk off with him, just in a straight line. I'm going to let these lines drag behind me for right now. You can keep them in your hands as well. And I'm going to stay kind of off to the side a little bit, but behind him to drive him along. I'm going to ask the horse to stop. Ooh. By stopping my feet, and he stopped really nice without Dan having to stop him. I'm going to ask him to go by clucking to him and using some energy in the lines. Now I'm going to see if I can get him to turn. I do a little bit more just driving in a straight line if Ernie had never done this before. I'm going to use pressure on this inside line to create lateral flexion, and drag him around this way. Now I'm gonna create pressure over here, and we're gonna switch directions. Now I'm gonna have Dan just tie that line up, now that we know that Ernie's gonna be just fine without a person there. So he's gonna attach that line to this upper ring here and make sure that there's enough slack there that it's not putting any pressure on him, but that it's not so tight that it's gonna be confining on him. So he's just gonna tie that lead rope up on the other side. That's another reason why I like having the surcingle, although you can do this on your saddle too. So he's just got that all tucked up there so it's nice and out of the way. I'm gonna ask Ernie to drive forward with a little bit of pressure. Keep him straight on the lines. And once I've got him moving along really nice, I can move off to the side a little bit again. And from this position, I can shape the horse a little bit better. The line that's going behind his hind legs helps to drive him forward. So with a little bit of pressure, I can shorten his frame and continue to drive him forward from the hindquarters. So this is my driving rein, this is my shaping rein, and it also forms that nice outside aid to keep the horse from getting crooked, which is important for Ernie as well. Now I'm going to ask him to go up into the jog just by pressure on that outside rein. Here I'm just going to keep him in a circle around me, otherwise I kind of have to run to keep up with him. And I'm going to ask him to stop over here. As soon as I get my lines under control, we'll do that one more time. I didn't have quite enough pressure on that outside line. Ooh. Good job, little E. Now I'm going to do a turn on the forehand by putting my outside aid, a little bit of lateral flexion. Outside aid here, stop the forequarters. Good job, little E. You can see he got shorter through his base before he walked out of it. Good job, little E. And we're gonna ask him to go forward again. You can also use a small driving whip in order to keep the horse moving forward. Like I have said many times, I am super clumsy with all that stuff. So I find that I use the lines a little bit easier than if I have to add a whip. But if you had a horse that was a little dog-ear, that would be something you could do to keep them moving forward. So I'm going to let him go into a free walk by loosening my reins a little. Add a little bit more energy. Let him really stretch out. I'm going to pick him up again. Shorten his frame. Once I get him nice and short, I'm going to ask for the jog. Take him back out onto the line. Take him through the octagon. Oh, Ernie, you missed. Do that one more time, send him through the octagon. I'm gonna see if I can stop him over here on the rail. Ooh. Good, Morgan. Good boy. So that's kind of some of the things that we'll do with these long lines. You can do all the things that you would normally do in the saddle, you can do with these long lines as well. So as the horse gets more and more confident in these lines, you can eventually work towards driving with the short lines instead of the long lines, which means you're in this position here. You've probably, if you've watched any of the Spanish riding school, this is right before they start to get on the horse's back, so get him nice and short this way. And you just get closer and closer to where your aids would be if you were in the saddle. So, but I find, especially if I have a horse that has trouble shaping up on the long line, or tends to drift out their hindquarters, or any of those ways that the horses can become crooked, this technique, which is also called the French lunge, can be a really nice way to help get the horse to shape up. Hey everybody, thanks for riding with us in the Green Hornet today. This is Doc Jenny signing out. If you like what you saw, be sure and follow us in the Green Hornet with Tormund, out on the road with Doc Jenny. Just click the link below and follow us along on our journeys. See you later.